The first time you're using Statseeker, the first page you're going to see is likely to be the Statseeker dashboard homepage. Beginning from the top right, you've got the question mark sign, which gives you access to all Statseeker technical documentation and the 2-minute how-to videos. You can also open a support ticket from here as well. There's your login details and the notifications icon there. The admin tool and reports, you probably will not be able to see if you've only got user access. I'm not going to go over them here. But the dashboards and the console, this is what a user is normally referring to and getting information from. Here in the center, start dashboards will probably be blank. They're selected individually by each user. The first time you run it, you won't have any selected, but as you go along and find favorites or make your own dashboards, you can style them and you've got quick access. Here's a list of the recently viewed dashboards. Just by adding a star into there, next time that you refresh, it'll appear among the starred dashboards. It gets retained there. What you will have the first time is the default dashboards. All of the ones that you've got access to, you'll be able to view down here. We've got asset overview, device overview, MAC IP switch port. There's a host of dashboards in there, and I'm going to go through them briefly now. So one of the first ones to see is the asset overview. Gives you a quick summary of everything you've got on your network, including things like active interfaces and used interfaces, total devices, retired. We've got dashboards in Statseeker that give you access, for example, to syslogs. You can change this to traps, whatever is convenient for you. And you can highlight exactly what group of devices or specific devices that you're interested in. If you find you only have a limited area of responsibility or where issues are, we'll constantly be looking at these variables in the top left. They're the key to focusing down on exactly what you want. And as soon as you adjust these, you'll see panels in the dashboard get updated. We've got a device overview, so you can choose straight away from any group, any device in there. And the Statseeker dashboard will refresh to show just that time. Interfaces, again, we can start by drilling down through the group, the device, and then specifically one interface that we're interested in as we choose. Server overviews, including things like the CPU, memory usage. We can see here on graphs, if the graphs are a little confusing, there's too much in there, you can always select only what's relevant and what you want to see in a specific time. You can choose groups of variables on the table using the control and the shift options. So it's all pretty fast reacting. The dashboard that a lot of people start with is often the network summary dashboard. So the network summary is a good starting place to get a quick overview of what's the most important things going on. And it's often a good starting point to tailor and adjust to suit your needs, especially for NOC overhead screens, and to be able to see what's there. For example, the last 10 devices that have become unreachable and are currently unreachable. Anything on these dashboards that's underlined, you can click on to drill down. The Statseeker will open a new dashboard and give you a drill down to that one specific device. And it'll take that device name and also the time frame from where we've come and incorporate that into the new dashboard. So we can see we've got availability of 99.9%. This has been pretty common. It's really only this last period where we've lost access to it. So as well as being able to choose groups, devices, interfaces, you can also choose the time scale that's relevant to you. So we can choose to look at just today. The dashboard will update and show us that. If I go back to the network screen, it's a little more dynamic. So let's say we want to look at the last 7 days. Statseeker's retaining all of its poll data going back months and years. So although all of these graphs, we've got options among the favorites to look at the last 7 days, the last 21 days, the last month. Not only have we got these options just to click and select, we can also, if we know there was a problem occurring, let's say at the end of last year, So from the 22nd of December, and it went on until the 30th of December. Simply choose the dates that are relevant and select, and the dashboards will update to show what was going on at that point as well. You've got the small wheel in the corner while it refreshes, and we've still got exactly the same kind of detail then as we're polling right now. It's retained in the as polled format. And if you can see an area of particular concern, we've got some spikes here. I'm not sure. I'm very happy about them. You can just click and drag to drill down. Again, the graphs and charts will update and we'll be able to see more detail, or we can go right down to the 1 minute granularity as we've got in the retained data. And this data is also what we use for our forecasts, anomaly metrics, so that we can really give accurate figures going out into the future. We look at the last 6 months of as polled data to predict what's going to go on. Once you've got your default dashboards and you're familiar with those, you can tailor them as well. You might decide that on different devices, you really want to see the status on every interface that's on there. And so you might set up a dashboard to do that. You might decide you want something where you can register notes to events and monitor what's going on. Time periods, office hours, you want marking onto graphs. You might decide to design specific dashboards for the management team or for particular clients that are automatically drilling down onto what's relevant, or expand graphs that we've got there. On the asset overview, we're looking at the last 2 days of status, how much of the network is up. You might say, look, I want to expand that to a week or 2 weeks, and we can see the maximum, minimum current values on network availability. Statseeker's got a whole set of maps so that we can open up. As soon as you've got lat longs into a system, you might decide to pop some of the maps in there. They'll auto-populate on locations and let users drill down to what's relevant to them. And you might even decide to do something that's a lot more sector specific, looking at specific service stations you've got or offices you've got, live stream data and so on. These graphs, when we do a network topographic table, we can have it on a blank background or superimpose it onto any image you choose. You might decide to make one for the NOC that simply shows alerts and threshold breaches currently in. And with any of these, not only can we choose favorite times and what we're interested in and maybe just days of the week, you can also choose refresh periods so that if they are running in a NOC or a fixed screen, you know you're constantly updated with what the current status is. So out of the box, those are the dashboards that you can use, but you can see you've got a lot of flexibility to add more and different things in the future. As well as the dashboards, you've got the ability to use the Statseeker console. The console is a way of accessing detailed reports on devices, different types of statistics very quickly. So just starting here on the right, you can choose a time frame, a default time frame for the reports. You can choose a specific range that you're interested in, going back years, a duration, how many readings we want to see. If we pull up utilizations, we want to see the top 200 on a network. And this button here, clear filters. As you're selecting different things and you open a report, it's not showing what you want. Click on the clear filters and all of these are clear again. You get exactly what you need. The next column here is for devices and the middle column is for groups. Groups are very important in Statseeker because they really speed up accessing the data that you want. The groups could be types of interfaces, types of devices. You might choose all of my Cisco equipment is what is relevant to me as a network admin. It could be a specific office because that's where I am. You can manually group or auto group just the way you choose. I'm not going to go through that here, but you'll see it in all the documentation. But let's make sure we're choosing all groups. And on the left-hand side, we've got a report list. This is all of the reports that we can see associated with the kinds of devices we've got at the moment. So as well as being able to go through the list and select, you can also type. But just as a starting point, let's pull out the top X. So on our entire network, we know at the moment there are 3 unreachable devices. We can see the highest ping response times across the entire network, highest utilizations, and we can see we're listing here the top 20 out of 14,489 interfaces, interface bytes, totals, discards, and this table is refreshing every minute. We can see the update period here, so this is always up to date. So if I decide that one of these is of particular concern to me, let's look at Vienna switch 1, that particular interface. I can open that up, and by default, it'll normally open showing me the last 12 hours. Not terribly valuable because I don't know if that behavior is normal or not. Again, Statseeker retains all of its data in an as-pulled format. So we can open up in a calendar view, and we can see its behavior at the moment is really exactly as I would expect. This weekend here, we had something unusual. There was some receiving a lot of data coming in that was not the regular pattern, and that we had a small outage there. So those could be investigated, but this is a quick way of seeing a very accurate overview of what's happening. And if we decide we're going to adjust something in the system that could affect the utilization on this interface, the applications running or whatever else, we can ask Statseeker to poll it every second and see what effects our changes are having. So we've got a quick overview of the network. Let's say we choose a specific device. Let's choose the router in Athens, and that we want to see some more detailed information on that. This is the device viewer, so it's a quick starting point. It gives you an overview of everything, including the interfaces, temperatures, and you can see a full list of the reports that are relevant to this device on the left-hand side. We can click on any of these to open them up and drill down in the time scale or expand the time scale to whatever suits. Other types of reports that we have, we may decide to look at traps, for example. So let's open this up so we're on all devices, but I'm really only interested in traps in the Berlin office. They seem to be having an issue at the moment. Once I open that report, you can see it's filtered down to Berlin because that's what I selected. I could say, no, I don't want Berlin. I want to see the entire network, and it's for today. I can also filter by device. I can actually also filter by text as well. So I could choose just show me the traps that mention the word down. In here, we can say, I'm actually interested in the entire week. But let's say there's a particular day I'm interested in it as well. Rather than just looking at the favorites, I could just choose days or months or weeks, and I can choose to go back to one specific day, click off, and I'll be able to see the entire network. Or let's say what I'm really interested in is that famous Athens router, and it was just on these dates between the 4th and the 6th of April. So accessing these reports is quick. They'll let you drill down to what you want, and the data can be emailed straight to sent straight to an email. You can export as a PDF, export to a CSV, and it can also be included in one of your scheduled reports. So let's say you decide that you're looking at SLAs on the system. That could be included in one of the scheduled reports going out as well. Highest utilizations and device availabilities. We might also decide that we're looking at availability of how much of my real estate am I actually using across the network. Now this is only showing me Berlin. Let's pull that up for the entire network. You can see how fast we can click and drill down on these reports. If I want to see how much is actually free, I can filter and sort using the arrows. And if there's something, again, on these legacy style reports as well, when we click on any underscored area, we can immediately drill down to details on that device. Or if we want to see just some more information about the interfaces, we can click on that, see which are used and which are not. And again, the exporting capabilities there as well. So in short, that's a quick overview of getting to information in Statseeker. You've got the console, which gives you the ability to click down to almost anything that's relevant. You can search, look through, and I would suggest you look at this kind of grouping to get it tailored to what's most convenient, because these groups are relevant for both the console and the dashboards, but you've got a whole host of information there. In terms of a quick view of what you've got on the network, the dashboards are a very good starting point. And if you want to set your preferences, rather than going to Dashboard Home, you can go to a tab, Manage Dashboards. This will let you choose things. For example, do I want my dashboards in a light or dark mode? What kind of maps do I want to see? And also put together things like playlists for your NOC, so that you can decide which dashboards you want to scroll through on overhead panels. So those are the basics on using Statseeker. If you've got any questions, please feel free to reach out. Thank you.